Hey guys, just to let you know, I know that you see that this is a really long video, so I wrote the questions in the description box along with the timestamps, so check it out. I had a lot of questions from my last video that I posted about keto, and I wanted to answer those here in a video so that I could answer all of the questions together because I'm getting a lot of dupes of the same question too, so hopefully this is helpful. I have powder all over my chest. Lovely. Do my best to answer all of them. So let's go. Okay, number one thing I want to mention. I am not a doctor. I am not a nutritionist. I'm not a dietitian. I am none of those things. I am just one person sharing my experience with you with the research that I have done for myself. So I mentioned it in the last video, and I'm going to say it again. Please, please, please do your research with any kind of lifestyle or diet change or anything like that. You really want to check with your doctor and make sure you're doing your research to really ensure that what you're doing, what you're putting in your body to nourish and fuel your body are going to be the best for you. Okay. Just wanted to get that out there because I would never want to, I'm not doing this to like encourage people to start keto. I'm just sharing what has worked for me, and this video is just simply based off of the questions that I have received. So let's go. So somebody had asked a question about cholesterol and the ketogenic diet. Totally understand that. When I started this, I started doing my research on that too because I thought there's no way that bacon and butter and cheese could be heart healthy. We've always known that there's good cholesterol and then there's bad cholesterol. And so our goal is to raise the good cholesterol and lower the bad cholesterol. And we've always, we do know that certain foods can affect your LDL cholesterol. So in the past, we've known that like beef, lots of pork, lots of cheese, anything like that will increase your bad cholesterol, which can in turn increase your chances of poor cardiovascular health, heart disease, or stroke. We don't want that, obviously. We're trying to nourish our bodies through the food that we're eating and not cause any additional diseases. So that was one of my questions too, and I am not a scientist, so it's very difficult for me to explain that to you. But I will link an article, a very well-written, very scholarly article down below so that you guys can check out all of the information for yourself because it's pages. But it answers all of the questions for you. And there's also a lot of case studies in that article about people who were tested before and after they did a low-carb, high-fat diet and what the results were on their blood tests when they finished. And all I can say is that I had similar results. So I was starting a personal training session to really whittle down some pounds for my wedding last year. And I started going to this lady, and originally I was just trying to eat healthier. And so I would have carbs, but it would be like brown rice and rice cakes and things like that. And the weight wasn't coming off. Like no matter what I tried, I would lose like a pound a month. And and then the next month I would gain that pound back. And we were doing measurements. We were doing, like she was checking my muscle growth and all of that. And the weight wasn't coming off. And so she had suggested this ketogenic diet, but she forced me to talk to my doctor before I tried it. And I was super hesitant about it, but she's persistent. So I did it, and I had all of my blood checked, everything like that, and everything was fine. And so I was like, okay, you know, my good cholesterol was good, my bad cholesterol was fine. Like I had normal results. After finding that out, that all my blood work was okay, I started the ketogenic diet, and I was on it for about 5 months, and I went back to get my blood results again. My bad cholesterol had actually decreased, and my good cholesterol remained the same. And if you'll look at a lot of case studies on the ketogenic diet, a lot of people get the same results, and I cannot explain the science to you because I don't know the science. But I do encourage you to look at that article because it does explain it very well, and I think that would be really helpful to you and kind of calm some of the nervousness that you have about the foods that are in this diet. Okay, this person I can tell has done their research because she asked me supplements. I've heard you should supplement potassium and magnesium. Do you do this? So my sister was on the ketogenic diet and she supplemented the magnesium because she was getting bad cramps. I never had that issue, so I just didn't feel the need to do it. Magnesium will help with your cramps, and it'll also help you sleep. It makes you sleepy. So some people will use magnesium supplements right before bed because it really knocks you out. I never felt like I needed any supplements like that. I felt fine, so I never used them, but I would recommend it if you are finding that your legs are cramping up or you're getting Charlie horses or anything like that. That simply, the cramps are from lack of salt. And like I talked about in the last video, you want to make sure that you're replenishing the salt that's being flushed out of your body. And so you can do that through the magnesium or just through the foods that you're eating. I never found that I needed it because the food that I was eating was giving me the nutrition that I needed, if that makes sense. As far as potassium is concerned, there is more potassium in an avocado than there is in a banana. And I eat tons of avocado on this diet. So just to put that in perspective, I never felt the need to supplement potassium, but you totally could. I just always feel like it's better to get your vitamins and minerals from food than it is from any sort of supplements. But if that would make you feel more comfortable with doing the ketogenic diet, then I would say go for it. I never use them because I never particularly found the need for them. That's not to say that you wouldn't need it or it wouldn't benefit somebody else, but I just didn't do it. Somebody else asks, how are you sure that you're in ketosis? So there's a couple things that you can do. You can do like a urine test strip. You can get those at like CVS for like 14 bucks. You can do, they have breath ones, like breathalyzer type ones, and then they also do the blood tests. So if you are doing keto, or if you're doing keto because you are diabetic or because you are fighting some other disease that can be helped through the ketogenic diet, then I would recommend testing every day. However, because I'm not doing it for that particular need, as long as I felt good, as long as I was still losing pounds, then I knew that I was in ketosis. So I would use the pee strips in the beginning, but once you become keto adapted, which is when your body has fully converted to producing ketones and using those for energy versus glucose, then those test strips aren't a very good they're not very good at showing if you're in ketosis or not, because if you think about it, whatever is coming out in your urine is excess stuff being flushed out. It's stuff that your body doesn't need. So essentially, if you're peeing on a pee strip to test for ketosis, those are all the ketones that your body isn't even using. So really, once you become keto adapted, those pee strips, like, they're not going to show that you're in ketosis, if that makes sense. But you can test for blood. That's the most accurate way, in my opinion. And there is a newer testing thing that came out called Keto Mojo. And I don't have that. I've thought about purchasing it in the past, but the only reason why I would suggest that one over other ones is because the actual testing meter isn't that expensive. You can get them for like 30 bucks, but the strips can be very expensive. So with a testing meter, it's kind of like diabetics will use it. It will prick your finger. Tiny bit of blood will come out. It doesn't really hurt. And then you use the test strip to press on the blood, and that's what's going to show whether you're in ketosis or not and how far deep into ketosis you are. So like I said, it's not the meter that's expensive, it's the strips. But the Keto Mojo strips I've heard are like $1 each, whereas the like typical ones can be like $5 each. They can get really expensive. So you can see where if you're still losing weight and you're still having that mental clarity and the mood stabilization is still there, you'll know that you're in ketosis, if that makes sense. So to me, it just wasn't important to test every day to make sure I was, because that gets expensive. I do want to make it clear though right here is that when I first started, I measured using the urine strips, but then once I was in ketosis for like a few weeks or so, then I backed off of that. So just trying to be clear there. I was hoping somebody would ask this question. Somebody said, have you tried intermittent fasting in combination with keto? Yes. So when I first started keto in February, I just did keto. And then in about April-ish, April, May, and June before the wedding, I was doing intermittent fasting. And now, what is intermittent fasting? I'm sure you guys have heard of this before. It's basically, it's not a diet, it's like a style of eating. It's like a schedule of eating, I guess you could say. So fasting, intermittent fasting is when you are fasting for a certain period of time, and then you're reducing the amount of time in the day that you're actually eating. So I was doing a 16-hour fast, and so I prefer to eat later at night. That's just how I've always been. So I would stop eating 8 o'clock or so, and then I would do all my stuff, go to sleep, wake up the next morning, and then I wouldn't eat until later on in the day so that I could have that 16-hour fast. Now, the benefit of this, and a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, like, no, I have to eat breakfast, I have to do this, I have to do that. When you're on keto, those fats, you should be eating enough fats that will help you stay full for a very long time. Remember I said in the last video, it's the fats that help keep you full and satiated. So you should never feel hungry on this ketogenic diet. I promise you that. If you are feeling extremely hungry, like ravenous, you are not eating enough fat, girl. So you gotta make sure that you're eating the avocados, you're having enough fiber with the veggies that you're eating, you're having those fats that will keep you full until your next meal. That was the only way I was able to do intermittent fasting. There was no way that I could do intermittent fasting on a regular American-based diet. I couldn't do it. I would be ready to kill people because I would just be so hungry. But the fats are what helped me intermittent fast, and it does really help when you really want to drop even more weight. And the reason for that is because whatever you're eating, it doesn't matter what you're eating, anytime you eat, you're going to raise insulin. And anytime insulin is raised, your body is not going to burn fat for fuel. Your body will store the fat instead of burning the fat. So if you're eating 10 times a day, it's going to be really hard for your body to burn fat off your body. And so it's really important that you eat larger meals, but less times throughout the day, if that makes sense. Because then once you're done eating, okay, you're done. Now your body's going to pick back up and start burning that fat. So that's how intermittent fasting was helpful for me. I'm not doing it right now. I like to ease my way into it. So I'll just do regular keto for, you know, a little while. And then once I really want to bump it up, then I'll start intermittent fasting. And then the next part of that question was, do you snack? I don't. I'll have maybe one snack throughout the day, but I usually will have my coffee for breakfast, and then I'll have 2 big meals during the day, and then maybe I'll have a little snack later on at night, like a fat bomb or like a cheese stick with some meat or, you know, something like that. I don't snack because that will raise your insulin levels. Okay, I heard it's tough to maintain strength in the gym on a keto diet. So how have your workouts been affected? Good question. So when I didn't really get it bad this time, but when I first started, when I transitioned from burning glucose to burning ketones, it wasn't even it was past keto flu. I mean, like probably like a few weeks to a month, I could feel it with my trainer. I mean, because she knows, she keeps track, oh, like I can do 20-pound dumbbells and I can do 3 sets of 20 or whatever it is, you know? And once I switched over, that was heavy. Like it was tough. Mostly like heavy weights, and then if we were doing like a really intense cardio session. But we've both learned, like through research, because she's really great about researching it for me as well, we've both learned that when you're on the ketogenic diet, you don't need to do heaps of cardio. So it's better to have, like, you know, some weight training in there, You can do, you know, some walking, some jogging, but you don't need to do like high intensity interval training, which was what my training sessions were like before I started keto. So yes, it did affect my workouts, but that was only for a limited amount of time. And then once I got like fully adapted, then I was like, okay, and I adjusted just fine. And I was back to the weights that I was using before. But there is a transition in the gym where you're like, man, I am weak. And that's something that your body will get used to though. Okay, somebody said, I don't want to eat ridiculous amounts of fats either. So what are some of your go-to meals? I will do, one of my favorite meals is like lettuce wrapped tacos. So think about butter lettuce. And when you think butter lettuce, you think like lettuce covered in butter, but it's not. It's like, think of the little lettuce cups that you get if you go to P.F. Chang's and you have their chicken lettuce wraps. It's like that. They're really handy to have at home because you can throw any kind of meat in there and you have like a really quick and easy meal. So I'll do ground beef with like some cheese, taco sauce, throw it into a couple of those butter lettuce wraps, and then I will take those for lunch. And that's not a crazy amount of fats, but you're still going to be hitting some of your fat and protein needs. So that's a meal that I really like. There are lots of soup recipes, which is great since it's like cold in most areas around the country right now. But there's like a chicken tortilla soup, minus the tortilla chips, obviously. So you do about a pound of chicken thigh, because that is a little bit fattier than the chicken breast, a bottle of Pace chunky salsa, some shredded cheese, and then chicken broth, which you can throw in a crock pot, put it on high for a few hours, and then you have chicken tortilla soup. It's really good and it is really satisfying. Plus it gets your salts in because the chicken broth is very salty. I can actually, if you guys remind me, I will like put the recipe in the description box. What's another one that I really like? I have a lot of salads too. So there's tons of dressings that you could pick that are lower in carb, like ranch even is low in carb. There's some balsamic vinegars are lower in carb and high fat. So, you know, you could throw a bunch of romaine lettuce in there. I like to chop up a like really fine broccoli and cauliflower and throw that into a salad because I don't particularly love broccoli or cauliflower, but when it's thrown into a salad, it's like you don't even know that it's there. You can put that in there with some tomatoes. Don't go overboard on the tomatoes because those are higher in carb. Avocado, ranch dressing, some shredded chicken breast, throw that in there. You have lunch and it's low in carb because of the, there's no like bread or croutons or anything like that in there. So I have a lot of salads. The soup is a good one. You could even make, so I have the tacos in the butter lettuce wraps, but you could even make taco shells out of cheese. Google it. I know it's crazy, but they're actually really good. One thing I will say is that like I can't have too much dairy or it will show on my face. I will start breaking out. So I use the taco shells made out of cheese as like a treat. What else? Breakfast is easy. Eggs, avocado, bacon. You could even do like if you don't want to go overboard on the bacon, you could do like a little egg scramble with some eggs, green onion, throw some tomatoes, vegetables in there, and some salsa like on top of it, a little bit of sour cream, avocado, boom, you have breakfast. If you want breakfast on the go, I've made a lot of egg casseroles. So just put a lot of eggs in there, mix it up with all of your stuff, throw it in a casserole dish and put it in the oven for like 15-20 minutes or so, and there you have breakfast for the whole week because you can divvy that up. I will try to do some more videos about what I eat for lunch, or like what I eat for meals, but I'll move on to the next question for now so I don't bore you guys. Somebody asked about Bulletproof Coffee. Bulletproof Coffee has gained a lot of popularity in the last, I'd say like 6 months. And for good reason. If you have Bulletproof Coffee in the morning, it does keep you full for a pretty long time. And I'm somebody, I look forward to having a cup of coffee in the morning. I don't feel like I necessarily need it when I'm on keto because, like I said, one of the benefits is that you're very mentally alert. You don't have that fog in the morning. But it's just something that I look forward to. It's like a morning treat for me. And so that's something that I didn't want to give up. It was hard to give up the coffee creamer, but there's plenty of other things that you can put in your coffee to appeal to your taste buds. So for me, in my coffee, I use an espresso, so my coffee is pretty strong. I have the coffee, and then in the milk frother, I use unsweetened coconut milk. I'll put a little bit of swerve in there. That's the erythritol. A little bit of cinnamon, a tablespoon of the heavy whipping cream, and then MCT oil. MCT oil, you can find it at any like vitamin shop, or you can even get it on Amazon. And it's medium chain triglycerides is what MCT stands for, and it's basically like the best parts of coconut oil. So it's the fat, and that is what is going to keep you satisfied until your next meal. So yes, I do have Bulletproof coffee, and I do like it. I don't put butter in mine. I just... If I'm going to use an oil and I have the option between butter or MCT oil, I'm going to choose the MCT oil, if that makes sense. Like I try not to go like crazy with the fats. So that's what I do for coffee. This video is getting so long. I'm sorry. I am sorry, guys, but I'm trying to answer all of these questions because I know what it's like. Like I get it. I know, like, especially when you're starting, you have so many questions because this is unlike any other style of eating I have ever done, so I got you. I would love to see a grocery shopping list and what you eat in a typical day, what you pack for lunch during the week. So the next video that I'm going to film here in just a second, I'm like on a roll today. It's going to be like the 10 things that I always keep in my fridge / pantry. So that video will be coming. Somebody asked for what you eat in a day videos. I can do that. I just gave you some of the things that I eat during the day. I'm not very good with the grill, but my husband is, thank goodness. He's a better cook than I am. So if I have steak, I'll have like a steak and then asparagus. I always put a vegetable in no matter what I'm eating because you really want to make sure that you're getting your vegetables. I eat more vegetables now than I ever have in my life because it's like you have to when you're on this diet. You really want to make sure that you're getting those like micronutrients in your diet. And somebody asked, how can you make sure that you're in ketosis if you don't focus on the high fat consumption? That's a great question. The way to get in ketosis is by depleting carbs, not increasing fats. So if you're depleting carbs, that's what's going to get you into ketosis, not necessarily that you're eating 1,000 grams of fats per day. So, you know, if you were eating 150 grams of fat per day and 150 grams of carbs, you're not going to be in ketosis because your carbs are too high. It's your carbs being low that will get you into that keto state. I'm interested in what you're keeping in the pantry. That video will be coming up next. Oh, good question. So Kate from Kate Loves Makeup, hi. She asked a great question about like what books I would recommend or what podcasts. And to be honest, I'm like a true crime fanatic when it comes to podcasts. So if you have any recommendations, leave them down below. So I don't listen to a lot of podcasts for keto specifically, but there is a podcast called The Keto Diet by Leanne Vogel. And then Joe Rogan, the guy who used to do the X Factor. Was that the show? X Factor, the one where they would like make him eat worms and stuff. He does, he talks a lot about keto on his podcast too. So those are two podcasts that I've heard are good. Leanne Vogel also has a YouTube channel, and then she also has a book out too. So if you wanted to check out that book, I'm sure it would be really easy to find on her YouTube channel. I'm not sure the name of it. But as far as books are concerned, I also listen to Keto Clarity on Audible, and that gave me a lot of really good information that was kind of like my baseline because it backs it up with a lot of scientific evidence. It's not just Joe Schmo like me right now talking about it. They're educated people who have done a lot of case studies and are backing up what they're saying with scientific evidence. So Keto Clarity is a great book to start with. So as far as documentaries are concerned, I like watching those too, and those don't necessarily have to be keto, but they promote no sugar. So Fed Up is a good one. Let's Talk Sugar is a really good one too. And those will provide you evidence with the effects of sugar in your diet, which you are eliminating if you are on keto. So those are really good ones too. And then if you just search online, I mean, you can tell based on what resources they provide if it is backed by science or not. So I would suggest just looking online and doing a lot of research for yourself there. Somebody says, for me, fruit would be hard to give up. I've also been hesitant because I travel so much. Any tips for people who don't have access to a kitchen all the time? That's a great question. When I started it, the weekend that I started in February, I was leaving to go to Kansas City, and that was tough. I was thinking, because I mean, it's kind of trial and error. Like, there are things that you think are low carb, but they are not. Like, I thought for sure when I got to the airport, okay, I can go get some beef jerky from the little place in the airport. You know what I'm talking about. The little stores, the little convenience store that they have. And most jerky is really high in sugar. And I don't know, call me naive for not knowing that, but I was thinking, oh, it's just meat. No, it's packed with sugar. And so I had a really hard time when I was traveling. I think now I would be better off because I know that there's really not a lot out there when you're traveling. I mean, like, in a pinch, I'll get a lettuce wrapped burger from a restaurant and a side salad. That's what I'll do if I go out to a restaurant and I haven't planned ahead. But in restaurants, it can be really tricky because you don't know like what they're adding to all of their ingredients. So when you're eating out or when you're traveling, I would just say, like, keep it as simple as you possibly can. Don't be afraid to be that pain in the restaurant that says, can I just have like a meat patty and some vegetables? Or can I just have a side salad with just this, 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 and this? Like, they will give you what you ask for. You just have to make sure that you're asking for it. So I do agree. It is hard to do it while you're traveling. If you're traveling, like if you're going to be out for the day, I would say, and I'm thinking about getting one too, is one of those like coolers that will plug into your, the like charger in most cars. And those do a really good job of keeping your things cool all day. So if you're in sales and you're traveling all over in the car all day, that's a great way to make sure that you're prepared and you have all your foods that are going to be low carb and be ketogenic with you at all times. I mean, you could put like little snacks in there to help you get through the day. I will try to do a video in the future of all of the foods that you could eat if you don't have access to a kitchen. That's just something that I'm going to have to brainstorm a little bit with. So just give me some time on that one. Okay, meal ideas, snacks. Are you able to drink diet sodas or alcohol? Thank you. That's great question. Can you drink alcohol? Okay. No, alcohol has sugar. Now, if you are going to have alcohol, then like my trainer always says, if you're going to have alcohol, it better be a shot, because that's going to have the least effect on your results, on your diet, on staying in ketosis. Margarita, no way. Wine. Now, alcohol is like its own macro. Like, I wouldn't say it's a nutrient, but it doesn't really fall under carbs, fats, or protein. It's measured differently, I guess I should say. But in most resources that I've used, a glass of red wine, and when I say a glass, I mean like a real pour, not filling up the glass all the way, is about 4 grams of carbs. So if you must have your wine, then you could probably fit that in. I just would recommend staying away from the wine, because for me, like if I have a glass of wine, it's not like this much, you know, like I want to like chill on the couch and have a glass of wine. So for me, I'm one of those people, like you can't give me a little piece of chocolate because I'm going to want more. So it's better for me to just stay away from it than it is to have a little bit here and there, because moderation, I can't do it. So that's just my little bit. But if you really have to have like say you're going to a social event, I would have like a vodka soda or 1 glass of wine, or you could even do like a tequila water or something like that, but I would stay away from cocktails and I would stay away from beer for sure. And she also asked about diet soda. Yes, ladies, you can have diet soda. Can I get an amen? That was like the one vice where I was like, oh, I don't know if I can give that up. Now, I will say don't overdo it. I don't even know if I can sit here and be like, yeah, you can have it. I'm just going to say, do I have diet soda? Yes. And I'll just leave it at that. Somebody asked, how much weight have you lost in total? Also, could you please give some meal ideas, especially for the work week? Thank you. You're my fave. Oh, that's so nice. Thank you. How much weight have I lost total? So I started in February. I like hardcore in February. Like I measured everything like on a scale. That's something that I would recommend as well. Don't just like, oh, here's about half a cup. No, like you need to measure it because especially with fats, when it's 9 calories per gram versus proteins and carbs are 4 grams, it can add up real quick. So you need to really make sure that you're measuring everything. Okay, glad I got that out there. Okay, what was the question again? How much weight have you lost in total? So I started in February, I went hardcore until the wedding. And then after the wedding, I was still doing it, but I was doing what's called lazy keto, where I wasn't measuring. I was eating keto, but I wasn't measuring everything pretty much. And between when I was doing hardcore keto, I lost 25 pounds like that. And then I maintained that until about November when I went off. So I'd say I lost the 25 pounds between February and May, and then I had just been pretty much maintaining for the rest of the year, doing more like lazy-ish keto. And then I took 2 months off, and now I'm back at it again. So I did take progress pictures, or my trainer did, but I'm not ready to show those just yet because it's like bad. I mean, when I look back at what I looked like when I look at that before picture, it kind of breaks my heart a little bit because I didn't even know that it was that bad. Like all my weight was in my stomach. Like it was bad. So I'm not ready to show those just yet, but just so you guys know, yeah, I lost 25 pounds and I lost 25 pounds pretty quick. And then I was just kind of maintaining. And I think those are all the questions that I have. So hopefully I was able to answer your question. If you have any others, please leave them down below and I will do my best to answer them. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm really happy that I got this kind of response from the video because to be honest, like I told you guys before, I've been super hesitant. I mean, for almost a year to talk about this because people just get like very feisty when you talk about food. So I will try to do more like what I eat in a day videos and more recipes and ideas of what to eat and things like that in the future. But I hope this was helpful for you guys and I will talk to you soon. Bye.